So today's webinar is being presented by Dr. D.K. Lee from the University of Illinois, and it's part of our Innovations in Agriculture and Rural Development webinar series here at the Center. And the goal of this webinar series is to connect the innovative ideas and the work of land-grant university scientists in the North Central region with stakeholders and potential users of that research and technology in rural areas. So before I introduce our speaker, I wanted to point out several administrative items. And the first one is that DK will speak for about 20 or 25 minutes. As well, I think it's a good idea to leave the question and answers to the end of DK's talk. If you have any questions for our speaker, I would encourage you to put your question directly into the chat box. And I'm going to moderate the Q&A session, so I will most certainly get to it. And finally, if you'd like to follow up with DK following the webinar, he's going to provide his contact details, and I'm sure he would be very pleased to hear from you. So we're really delighted to introduce and welcome Dr. D.K. Lee, who is an assistant professor of crop sciences at the University of Illinois. DK is a production agronomist with a broad research and educational background in crop production, soil science, and international agriculture. In his current research, his goal is to optimize agricultural systems for sustainable bioenergy feedstock production and soil and water conservation using native perennial grasses. And today, DK is going to talk about this very topic and specifically the use of perennial grasses in sustainable production and agricultural systems. So with that, I would like to hand it over to our speaker today, to DK. Welcome. And
thank you, Caroline.
Great.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thanks. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline, and thank you everybody for participating in this webinar. Recently, we have been talking about sustainable agriculture a lot more than we used to. With the current trend in sustainable cropping system associated with the world food supply as well as bioenergy opportunity, various cropping systems have been proposed to maximize farm income and minimize environmental impact. Among those many cropping systems, today I would like to talk about integration of a perennial grass into our current cropping system to maximize farm profitability. I'll start with the importance and benefit of the grassland agriculture and multifunctional agriculture. I'll talk to some of the limitation and difficulty of the perennial grass production, and I'll move on to my research related with the agronomy of perennial grass to help a better understanding of the perennial grass agriculture. At the end, I'll talk about real-world example of the perennial grass farm and its economics. Our goal in agriculture is permanency. We can think about this permanency as a sustainability. As you see, this is not a new thing. It has been emphasized from back in beginning of our modern agriculture. In 1948, USDA published the Yearbook of Agriculture, GRASS. The definition of the permanent agriculture by this book is not any different than currently we are using. The definition of the agriculture. The agriculture can satisfy indefinitely all our need of the food, fiber, and shelter in keeping with the living standard we set. Now we are adding one more product on them, which is bioenergy feedstock. Why this book was titled With Grass and talking about permanent agriculture? I think there is the reason. As you know, our fertile soil on which we are farming now was developed by our tallgrass prairie. Mr. Anderson, who was the 13th Secretary of the USDA, said, "Grassland is a good way to farm and to live, the best way I know of to use and improve soil, the very thing on which our life and civilization can rest." We know grassland is very important, and tallgrass prairie was the foundation of our fertile soil and current productive farming system. Then what then what is the problem? The problem is we are losing our grassland significantly right now. We understand the majority of grassland we are farming right now is very important for using for the row crop production. But some of the environmentally sensitive land, like a marginal land, could be maintained as a permanent grassland. As we lost grassland, we are losing many benefits from the grassland. We need to think about our future generation. We as a parent of the future generation need to care for the earth. We need to enrich our living environment with clean and plentiful water, fertile, vibrant, and productive soil, abundance and diversity of the plant and animal, renewable energy, and sustainable food and produce. Our future management choice should promote this goal. Our, we know our historically managed our grassland agriculture can reduce and slow down climate change and desertification, soil erosion, flooding, and other ills. That is why we are talking about multifunctional agricultural system integrated with various crops on different landscape. The future agricultural system could include a perennial grass-based sustainable agriculture. Those systems would increase soil organic matter and microbial life, decrease the use of fossil fuel and toxic chemical, and we can produce a sustainable bioenergy and more soil protected with a living cover. Greater diversity on plant and animal. And another most important thing for the farmer is income. Maximize land resource to maximize the farm profitability. As you know, not all land are good for row crop production. Some soils are not able to support annual row crop. Some are too dry and highly erodible or too wet. Some have a serious fertility issue or high soil salinity. Some regions are too cold for the row crop production. Those are the land and soil we like to work with perennial crops, since many perennial crop and perennial grass can handle better those situations. In the beginning, there was only land, and prairie grass slowly came and built our fertile soil, and we support all the people from this land. I believe we should continue providing food from our land while we can conserve our land resource by planting perennial crop on highly erodible land or too wet to produce any row crop. We know the biodiversity on the landscape will promote productivity and sustainability of our agriculture. Obviously, farming cannot be sustained just with environmental service. We also need to have income. There are several income streams uh, could be associated with the perennial grass. The first thing is the hay. And another great opportunity is seed production, especially with the native plant. Also, specialty meat is an option too. With the health diet and a concern about human health, grass-fed or organic meat demand is getting much higher right now. And you also can get conservation payment as well. Even though we do not have yet carbon credit and cellulosic biofuel feedstock production will bring another big opportunity for the perennial grass farm. Also, recreation could be a great opportunity for some region. Sounds like perennial grass farming is a good agriculture. Then why we not too excited about? I think there are several hurdles to overcome to have a good perennial grass farm. Typical problems are associated with establishment and management practice, and also market value and availability. However, this problem, especially about establishment and management practice, has been significantly improved since we start to work with the bioenergy crop. Lots, lots of bad reputation of the perennial grass associated with agronomy has been gone with the modern technology for the planting and with the control. Let's talk about some agronomy of the perennial grass. We can learn from many aspects of the perennial grass agronomy from our native grassland. As you see here, every species has their preference of habitat and environment. It provides an important insight when we select the plant on the landscape and different soil. The first step of adopting perennial grass the first step of adopting perennial grass is landscape designing with the different species. When we design cropping system, including perennial grass, we need to think about many different ways to improve ecological function and production function and cultural function. Ecological function could include the soil erosion, nutrient cycle, biodiversity, carbon sequestration, biological control of the pest, water conservation. Food production, the food production function could include food and feed and bioenergy feedstock and seed production. Cultural function could include recreation and visual quality and education. Depending on the landscape, water, and soil situation, we need to consider integrating row crop and different perennial species. Not all land for the perennial crop, as not all land for the row crop. There are many grass, and four are available from our prairie. As you see here, some big blue stem, prairie cordgrass, prairie grass, and four mixture, Indian grass, switchgrass, some wetland species, and the cool season grass mixture. We need to think about the best species fitted into your environment and produce the best amount of your product when you think about your having the grassland farming system on your farm. Not all species perform equally under given environment, and it is necessary to select the best species. Here graph is showing some of the performance of the native grass in central Illinois. 2 cultivar of Indian grass and 3 cultivar of big blue stem, switchgrass, and some mixture of native grass, and also exotic species miscanthus. As you see, there is difference among species and mixture. Also, you notice some species respond more severely to the weather condition we had through 2010 to 12. And 2010 was a very wet year. 2011 and 12 was dry year. But some species not respond those severe weather conditions maintain their performance very well. But careful thing is that all this information I'm taking from Central Illinois and may not apply to your region. And then if you need the specific information for your region, please contact. I think a better idea to contact expert in your region or contact me. I may be able to help you find the best people in your area. Again, this is from Central Illinois. I'm going to talk about some cultivar selection. As you see a switchgrass example, there are a big difference in performance among cultivar. This difference associated with the origin of the cultivar and some level of genetic. You see two Alamo Cano cultivar from southern area from Texas and Oklahoma, and some of Midwestern Great Plain cultivar, and also Northern cultivar too. Just like the Alamo, one example I want to talk about example of the Alamo, which is originated from Alamo, Southern Texas. It has a high yield potential, but not well adapted to cold and short growing season. During the last 5 years, Alamo was okay in Illinois and produced the greatest biomass in central Illinois. And But I have not seen any winter kill, and but there's some level of winter kill always observed in during the last 5 years. But however, but it would be interesting to see the any severe winter kill be observed after this winter, cold winter in 2013 and 2014. And then, as you see, the depends on which cultivar you go with, you can have a lot more biomass than some others. Once you have your selection, we need to put them into the ground. Uh, I know it is a picture showing the 30 different grass type. Mainly you can find from our tall grass prairie, switchgrass, Indian grass, and big blue stem. I know it is not easy to work with the small and floppy seed, not like a row crop. I'm sorry, I'm getting trouble with my mouse control. But with the modern equipment and with the control, we can have a good establishment, and often we get production during the establishment year. It is important to have a good seed and right equipment. This is a picture showing our example of the perennial grass establishment done in central Illinois, Champaign. Even under the extreme drought condition, before planting or after planting in 2012, we have very successful establishment with the right seed selection and equipment and with good weed control. And the picture was taken in September 17, same year of the planting. Some seed has a reputation of the slow germination. During the last decade, so bioenergy industry made a significant improvement on seed germination and establishment issue through breeding new cultivar with fast germination and new technology. As an example, cold grass was one of the most difficult to establish, but we found simply planting of the caryopsis like a wheat seed speed up germination much faster, and we have very successful establishment with this technology. I guess one of the biggest improvement we made from perennial grass establishment is weed control. Now we have many more options for the herbicide, and weed control is much easier than used to. If you have a good weed control and during the establishment year, you will not have much issue after that time period. Once you have a solid stand, good solid stand, management is pretty easy. Last thing to consider is harvest management and fertility management. Depending on your objective, biomass can be harvested in different time and during the season. For your forage production, you can harvest the biomass only in the summer, late spring, and you can maximize biomass production and also maximize the feed quality. For the bioenergy feedstock, you can harvest later in the season or following spring and maximize the feedstock quality. Depending on the timing of the harvesting, nitrogen fertilization has to be adjusted for maximum biomass and stand health, as well as the economic benefit. Now I want to move on to real-world grass farm. We'll talk about the EcoSun Prairie Farm currently operated in South Dakota. EcoSun Prairie Farm was started in 2008 by several faculty members in South Dakota State University. The goal of the EcoSun Prairie Farm was to demonstrate economic viability of a commercial grassland grown on cropland. One section, portion of 640 acres of the cropland and former CLP land converted to native grassland and restored wetland beginning from 2008. Currently, as of 2013, they have a 70 acres of the field under the seed production and 260 acres under the either hay production or pasture operation. 70 acres of the seed production include the 60 acres of the switchgrass seed production and 10 acres of the prairie cordgrass and wedgegrass and sedge. And 260 acre hay and pasture ground has a warm season mixture or fall and warm season, cool season for a legume mixture, and still some of land still under crop production right now.
Rosa, it looks like we've lost DK. Excuse us, audience members, while we get our presenter back. There he is. Okay. DK, are you there?
Okay, can you hear
Loud
me
and
okay
clear.
now?
Continue on.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm almost in panic situation all day, all this morning. I have lots of technical issue. I hope my presentation going okay. Okay, I'm going back. Uh, the picture is showing 640 acre of the EcoSun Prairie Farm with some switchgrass seed production field highlighted with the blue line. And also this farm has various different places. It has a water issue, seasonal wetland, and they have some prairie cordgrass and wedge grass and sedge seed production going on right now. As you see, is many land, many portion of the acreage is not able to support the row crop production. That's the one of the main reason this area was selected for the EcoSun Prairie Farm, grass, hay and seed production. And end of the 2013, the renovation of the EcoSun farm has been completed with 400 acres of the grassland farm and getting stable income through a variety of the product. However, there was some challenge until getting stable production phase. Excuse me. Especially during the establishment period. Many things are associated with the timing and economics, like achieving planned production and cost level, and marketing to obtain the premium price, and transitioning to get through the establishment period, like cost share source on seed and seedling cost, maintaining income stream during the transition year, and generating income as soon as possible on newly establishment grassland without harming the stand. Currently, EcoSun Farm is making income through products including native grass hay, native plant seed, custom grazing, and grass-finished beef. And in future, possible income source could be cellulosic biofuel feedstock production and recreation. As of today, ecosystem services are not included in farm income. However, the value of the ecosystem service could make a grassland farm much more attractive. The way that producer might be paid for the ecosystem service, like uh, conservation payment, environmental market like a carbon credit, branding like a grass-fed beef, and marketing environmental amenity like ecotourism and huntings. With that, EcoSun Prairie Farm generated a gross income of over $130,000 in 2012 with net income of $60,000 from 400 acres of grassland. And I heard they made over $230,000 in 2013 with a higher grass seed production and a more beef production. Overall, net return was highest in grass seed production and lowest in the livestock operation with a high operation cost. And then net return of the hay production was intermediate. This EcoSun Prairie Farm demonstrated the potential to increase farm profitability by integrating perennial grass as a part of the cropping system. Carolyn, can you hear me okay still?
I can hear you loud and clear, DK.
Okay.
All is good.
Okay. I just want to make sure my microphone seems like getting lower in the battery.
Actually,
Okay.
you're very silent right now. Just speak up and speak directly into the microphone. Thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me okay now? Oh,
I can hear you, but it's quite faint, but we can still hear you.
Okay. Oh. Okay, the map is developed by the USDA's USA Bioenergy Project. As you see in the map, increasing biodiversity on the landscape like a perennial grass on the marginal land, like a highly erodible or wetland, will promote the system productivity and sustainability of agriculture while we can maximize farm profitability. I think that's all I have. Uh, Thank you so much for your listening.
Thanks so much, DK. That was fascinating.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have some issue with the microphone again.
No apologies needed. Rosa, what happened to my initial poll? I'd like to kind of bring that in. I'd like to, we have a couple of questions on the screen here. And DK, people are interested in having access to your PowerPoint.
Okay.
So just so that everyone knows, the actual recorded webinar presentation will be accessible after
Okay.
today, and Rosa can speak more about that. But if people want your presentation, should they email you directly for your
Yes,
PowerPoint?
yeah, I think end of my slide is showing my email address. They
Perfect.
can email, yeah, and I can send you the
Perfect.
PDF format. Mm-hmm.
So we have a question from
Okay.
Jean. Now, DK, do you want me to read these aloud, or do you want to go through them? We only have one question.
Okay.
Can you see it there?
Okay. Yeah, any crossbreeding of the lowland and upland ecotype of a hybrid vigor. I think so. There's some research already reported, and also actually one hybrid of cultivar, I mean hybrid of the switchgrass is now available in the market right now. The name of the hybrid switchgrass is Liberty. It's coming out of the Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska ARS breeding program.
Hmm.
And we observed the Liberty switchgrass produce more biomass than and some of I mean most of upland switchgrass, and same time those Liberty has a great winter and cold tolerance. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Oh, yeah,
Carolyn,
I
okay,
think I'm not sure if Gene is happy with that, but he seems to be.
okay,
Do we have? Oh, he's
okay,
he's he's pleased. Thanks, Gene. Do
okay,
we have any
okay,
more questions for
okay,
DK? Carol, can you see that, DK?
okay. Okay, just want to mention that Wisconsin, we now have a statewide market for the ecosystem service of phosphorus abatement, prevention, loading in the winter. It's a situation rate for the piloting grass production. Wow, that's good. I mean, great to hear that. I know the Wisconsin, Minnesota has always had a other state, and I think this is a great opportunity. And perennial grassland can have more benefit, and not just environmental service, also can some of actual income. What is the good source to find the native grass seed? I think this is a very important question. I think a good question. You are in Wisconsin. Oh, where are you? Okay, you're okay. No. Greg. Oh, you are in Ohio. I think one of our participant name is Kevin Ernst. I don't want to promote his business, but Kevin Ernst and Ernst Seed and Conservation in Pennsylvania can have all kind of a good source for the Ohio, I think. The seed company name is Kevin Ernst, the Ernst Seed and Conservation. I'm sure there's some other seed also available too, but that's what I know. And I know that Mr. Kevin, the Ernst provide a great quality of the seed.
So if I may interject, I'm going to bring in another poll as we're in between questions here. We want to know a little bit more about our audience members. So if you would be so kind as to fill this out. He's doing his best right now to respond in the chat box. So I do encourage anyone else's questions, please. Um, I'm also going to get rid of these polls so that everyone can take note of DK's email address right here on the last slide. And with that, oh, DK's typing. Let's give it a few more minutes. Another question from Jean. When you consider ecosystem services, have you considered multi-species mixes versus monocultures? Hmm. And I encourage anyone to add in other questions here in the chat box. We've got a lively conversation going on right now. I also wanted to thank DK for this really, really interesting presentation. And Rosa, I believe you you included information there about the accessibility of this presentation later on. I'm not sure if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, I did. What I'll be doing is I'll be pulling the recording and of course I'll edit the beginning and the end and then I'll post it online with his PowerPoint presentation. So if anyone wants access to that, I put it in there somewhere.
But it will be on the NCRCRD website in the webinar section under the Innovations in Ag and Rural Development section. So please disseminate widely to your colleagues.
And there's the URL.
Perfect, terrific. Thanks, Rosa. Is there anything else that our audience members need to go away with today? That's about it, I think.
Go green. Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Carol. Thanks for participating. Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, DK.
Thanks, DK. I guess we can wrap up. If no one else has any questions.